Hey guys, it's Bailey. Welcome back to the channel and thanks for tuning in to a video where I'm going to be talking about some new, well, new-ish things. I picked some new things from Maybelline up, and then I also have the whole Becca Bffs collection. That's the collaboration between Chloe and Malika that I wanted to talk about. They've just been kicking around my makeup room for a couple of weeks, maybe even a month, some of these products at this point. So I'm really ready to sit down and chat through them. So I first want to start with some things that surprised and disappointed me. The new Maybelline Superstay Matte Lip Inks. I love this formula. When I first reviewed them back when they first came out, I had two shades, Pioneer, which is a beautiful blue-based red, and an orange shade, and the formula was just the best out there in my opinion. It's not too thick, it doesn't crack throughout the day, and yet it lasts 8 hours plus easily throughout the day until you want to take it off. That was until I tried some of the new shades they recently launched. I got some beautiful vampy shades for the winter, and then something that's it's what I'm currently wearing right now, which is like a light but still bright peachy shade. This is called Self Starter. I really do like this shade, that's why I'm wearing it today. The other two shades, however, shockingly crumbled like an hour, maybe even less than into wear. Those shades are Originator and Composer, and I had asked you guys, like the day I was trying these out, I did some Instagram stories and was telling you I was trying them, and then also showed you, like, it's truly less than 2 hours from the time I put it on to the time it started flaking, how it was starting to wear away right in the center of my lips. And I wasn't doing any serious eating or drinking or anything like that. Even though this formula can typically stand up to that, this was really just me living my life, and they could not hold up to it. It was really weird. So I still very much love the formula of those that work, but would not recommend picking up these shades, especially if, as you see the new shades that they've launched, are curious about them. These did not work, and after sharing that on Instagram, what I heard from a lot of you guys is that tends to be the case for a few of these lip ink shades. So just something to be aware of if you've been curious about these. Now on to a happier review. I also picked up the matte bar from Maybelline. That is what I'm wearing on my eyes today, and in a nutshell, this is basically a warm matte palette with a pop of berry. Very reminiscent, I think, of the Anastasia Beverly Hills Modern Renaissance palette, but if you took all of the shimmery shades out of there. That is what this is to me, and I'm pretty pleased with the quality of the shadows. Matte shadows, I guess, used to be pretty hit or miss. Sometimes they would be chalky, patchy, skip as you applied them across the lid, and more as there's more competition, formulas improve. I feel like you run into good formulas more often than not, where it was pretty easy to find a chalky bad formula in the past. So happy to say I think the formula here is really nice. I like the variety of shades within this palette. There are a few like in this cream tone that I feel like we could have done without, maybe swapped it in for something a little bit different. Same as you get into like these bricky reds. One has more of a pink tone, one has more of a warm tone, and I feel like they are kind of duplicates on like when you actually wear them on the eye. So could have used something, maybe a different shade of berry, a more purple or blue berry versus this red berry that you have here. But overall, I really like the way it works and think it's a good twist on that popular color palette that the Modern Renaissance started if you're looking for something that's all matte, which I know a lot of people prefer as a texture over something that includes satins or shimmers or glitters, which a lot of palettes can. So if you were curious about this or looking for an all matte, warm, brown tone, berry tone kind of situation for your eyes, this is a good one to check out. And last is liner, again from Maybelline. I saw that they had launched a new liner formula that there it went, that I really wanted to try because it was called the Tattoo Studio Gel Pencil Liner. It just sounded very long lasting, which is always something that I'm looking for, especially on my waterline. I mean, I know we're all looking for that with any product that we use, but specifically, it's really hard for me to find liners that stay on my waterline. I tend to have like itchy or watery eyes, not in a reaction to the liner, but just naturally allergy prone, dry eyes, so stuff just doesn't stay. So I'm always on the hunt for a good pencil liner, so I gave these a try. I actually have two shades. The one that I have here today is Bold Brown, but I also have a teal that I have worn and talked about on Instagram. Cannot for the life of me find it for this video, so sorry about that, but I'll flash a picture up of me actually wearing it so you can see what it looks like. And I'm actually going to apply this right now because I realized I'm not wearing eyeliner right now. And basically, I really like this formula. I think it's very pigmented. It goes on super smoothly, like I'm not having to tug on my waterline here at all, and I still get some really nice pigmentation. And I do find that it lasts a good amount of time. I mean, it's not an all-day wear sort of eyeliner for me, especially on my waterline, but it is on my upper lash line. Like when I did that wing that you see in that picture, that lasted all day without smudging at all. Like once this dries down, even if you're wearing it over foundation, like that wing, I had already applied everything and so I just blended it out there. It totally set on top of it, and so I couldn't smudge it at all. It was beautiful. So again, if you find yourself looking for a good, steadfast pencil formula, this would be a good one to check out. Now let's move on to the Becca Bffs collaboration between Chloe and Malika. The brand sent this whole collection to me and I've been trying it ever since it arrived 3 weeks ago, almost 4 weeks. 4 weeks ago? I've been trying it for a while. And I think I want to talk about the palettes first because they are my favorite thing from this collection. Becca just does face powders so well. So the way this collection works is there are basically 2 sets of products, one that is made by Malika with love and one that is made by Chloe with love. So naturally there are 2 face palettes within this collection. The Malika palette, all of these contain a highlighter, 2 blushes, and 1 bronzer slash contour shade. This is the Malika palette, which you can see in comparison is deeper than the Chloe palette. So you have like an alternative for fair, light skin, and then one for medium, deep skin tones with Malika's palette. And one of the first things I thought when I opened these up was how similar they look and probably function to the Becca B Alight palette, which I have a whole video reviewing here on the channel. Basically, like these quads, this is a face palette where you get a highlighter, something that was supposed to be kind of a setting powder or like finishing powder, a bronzer, and a blush. But one of the things that I had wanted more out of this palette was like more blush variety. The finishing powder or the setting powder, whatever the powder put in there, it didn't really serve a specific function. Like it was too deep for setting a lot of different skin tones, and so it ended up being just like a lighter bronzer. And I think they nailed it with these quads because you have your staple shades, your bronzer, your highlight, and then they gave you 2 options for blush instead. One tends to be more of a pigmented, like straight up pigments, still shimmery but more pigmented kind of blush, whereas the other one is kind of a blush highlighter hybrid where you have some color in there, but then it's also foiled or marbled with a shimmery like gold. Overall, I love these as all-in-one face palettes. I just love the finish they give to the skin. They kind of break all of the misconceptions I used to have about applying satin, borderline shimmery products all over my face. I used to avoid them like crazy because I thought they'll emphasize pores, they'll emphasize fine lines, they just won't look right if you apply them over broad patches of your face. But these totally break the mold. There is something about the way these powders are milled that I feel like they just give your skin such a beautiful lit from within airbrush sort of look, no matter which of these powders you use, even though this bronzy shade has more than a hint of satiny iridescence to it, I would say. It really doesn't come off like that on the skin. Instead, it just looks like this flawless finish. So absolutely love these, and then especially if we are comparing them to the Be a Light palette, I think they are better in terms of being more compact for travel too. Next, there are the Glow Letters Sweethearts, and similar to powder products you'll see where there are like little balls of different colors, like Girl on Meteorites or e.l.f. has some very similar, and the idea is that you mix it together to get one cohesive shade and then use it across the face. This specifically is a bronzer, but a lot of them will be for use as setting powder or things like that. That's the same idea here. Rather than balls, these are in X's, O's, and heart shapes. And they say it's a multi-use product. You can either swirl your brush in it as is, use it as an all-over bronzer. You can take an eyeshadow brush, dip it in here, use it as a wash of color across the lid, or they actually even recommend crushing some of these up for maximum pigment, I imagine because it allows you to get a larger concentration. Otherwise, not a ton of powder comes off of these letters as they are pressed, so you can use them in a crushed format too. But really, no matter how I used it, I didn't find I really liked the finish I got across wherever I applied it. It always just seemed like sparse shimmer, and unlike the palettes where it's an ultra finely milled, almost satin level shimmer, this had more discernible shimmer in it, and so I felt like if I applied it all over my face, I looked like a disco ball. If I put it all over my eyes, it looked like patchy eyeshadow. I just couldn't find a way to win with these, no matter how I tried them, and so they are not my favorite. They are cute as a vanity piece, but in terms of practicality, what bronzers and face powders I prefer, what eyeshadows I prefer, it's not these. And the last to launch with this collection were 4 different lipsticks. Unfortunately, these just say the shade. They don't actually say who made these, whether it was Chloe or Malika, but basically there are 2 nude shades and then 2 red shades. So first let's start with the nudes. First up is Yours Truly, which is a light neutral nude. I really like this for my skin tone, and I think it's gonna flatter a lot of skin tones because it walks that neutral line. So often with nudes, I think we can find that if they go too cool, too warm, if they just don't sit right on your skin, they make you look a little dead, and that is not the case at all, I find, with this one. And then the other shade is a little bit deeper, also neutral, and is called Cupid's Kiss. So here they are side by side. They really do look super similar. Cupid's Kiss just has a hint more of a richness to it. So I think it'll just come down to how deep you like to wear your nudes, but honestly, the shades are so close that on a lot of different skin tones, I don't think you're gonna be able to tell that much of a difference. And both of these are cream finish, by the way. In fact, all 4 of these are cream finish, so you don't need to expect any iridescence or shimmer. They're all a really beautiful, almost balmy looking cream. And the tops, I don't know that I've ever had a Becca lipstick in a container like this, because I would have remembered the tops as being magnetic. I love a good magnetic closure because so often when I throw something like this in my purse, the top flays off and then there's lipstick everywhere and I've lost a good lipstick. So the closures are magnetic. Then there are 2 red shades, and there's quite a bit more contrast in these, which I really like. The first of which is a warm, like fiery orange red. This is in the shade Hot Tamale, which I really love, especially as the weather starts to warm up, even though it's not officially spring until like March. We're getting there. And then the other shade is Cool, and it is called Brave. It is kind of a deep bricky red with that hint, just a teensy little hint of terracotta in it. I really, really love this as well. And this is what I have been favoring more so with the cooler weather. Now, the one potential downside that I've noticed specifically with the reds in this collection, actually, if you want to get super specific, it was with the shade Hot Tamale. This was the first one I applied because I was so excited to have it. But I noticed, I'm not sure if it's the creamy formula or what, but I noticed some bleeding right on the fine lines of my upper lip, which is not a deal breaker at all. It just means you need to wear some lip liner, maybe some clear lip liner if you don't have any that matches this exact shade. But just something to be aware of, and something that kind of surprised me having tried Becca lipsticks before, is that's not something I've really experienced from them or from lipsticks in general. Like, I don't tend to have issues with feathering, which is why I think it was so noticeable when I experienced it with this. So just a precaution to take if you're looking at this shade and tend to have an issue with feathering. All right, and that is all the new makeup I have to talk about. I would love to hear your thoughts about any of these things if you guys have tried them. If you're considering getting them, let me know. I hope this video helped you. Besides that, guys, thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and I will catch you in the next video. Bye, guys!